Anyway, he came in, yeah, it's been quite a while. So he came in and gave us a demonstration on different types of material for Flexo, and I was very impressed. So I found him again and said, now you got to give it for 25 people. So I still use all of the information that he gave me. He gave me a great book. I think you'll find it all useful. Dwayne here, he's from Reno?
Yes.
So, yep. All right, Rick. Let's move now. Oh,
Rick couldn't make it. Yeah. Confused. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to turn time over to him. He's got the PowerPoint presentation, and enjoy it.
All right, thank you guys. Today I'm going to talk about pressure sensitive. I'm going to talk about paper, face sheets, adhesives. And my goal today is to have you guys walk out and think about applications that you guys are working on, or maybe that your customers have, or maybe you already are working on, that we can talk all together. I don't mind questions in between as I go through this. It's great because one question over here might be on somebody else's mind, and everybody else is thinking about the same thing. So, my name is Dwayne Stevenson. I've been with MacTac for 17 years. Prior to MacTac, I used to work at a company called Kanzaki. And Kanzaki used to make direct thermal papers. So if you live in California, if you buy lottery tickets, that's a direct thermal paper. If you buy gasoline, you get the receipts, that's direct thermal paper. So that falls into the background. What I'm going to talk about today is papers, a little bit of direct thermal, and adhesives. So, all right, so I'm just going to jump in here. All right, so today we're going to talk about adhesives. There's two types of adhesives. There's rubber-based and acrylic, and there's a purpose for each one for different applications. And I'm going to demonstrate how you know when to use what. We're going to talk about thermal transfer, direct thermal, and then with direct thermal, top coat versus non-top coat. And then we'll talk about face sheets, commonly used materials, metallized papers, benefits of using polyester liner for water bottle type applications, and resources and any questions. So as I go through the presentation, there's going to be some hands-on demos to talk about. And first what we're going to do is right now start with the first one. On your table there is a clear bottle. And there's two pieces of pressure sensitive. Relax.
That's where Linda recognizes it.
Are you usually a police officer? Real part-time. So, okay, so on your table there's this bottle here, two pressure-sensitive strips. But before maybe I go into pressure sensitive, maybe it might help to define what pressure sensitive is. Does anyone not know pressure sensitive? Basically what it is, it's a face sheet, adhesive, liner combination. So what I'm going to talk about today is going to be referred to those three combinations. When we manufacture, what we do is we manufacture, mass produce face sheets, films, adhesives, liners, with a variety of different products. So, taking these two strips, let's do this. Let's, do we have someone who here? Oh, you got a cheat sheet already. Oh, okay, so what I want you to do is take the strip, wrap it around one, take the second one, and the third guy.
Yeah. Is this the drug test part?
I have nothing, I don't know anything about that.
Take it away from those. Just remember that. Most of you are from Colorado, so it might not be the best kind of drug test. Brownies for lunch, right?
So basically do this, and if you think about most pressure sensitive applications, they're going to be affixed to plastic, paper. So this will give a good illustration of the difference between acrylics and rubber-based adhesives. Whenever you're ready.
Backwards uses cracking.
No, I know, you gotta use fingernails. If you bend the edge of it, that's it. Split that. Got that?
You done yet, Ty?
Yeah, so with those samples, one sample is a rubber based. Okay, so one sample is a rubber based, the other sample is an acrylic. And so what I'm going to demonstrate the difference between the two. But before I do that, let's talk a little bit about each of the adhesives. Okay, so rubber based, just as is described, it's made from synthetic rubber. So one of the characteristics of rubber based, high initial tack. As soon as you apply it, it's stuck. It's going to be really hard to peel off. There's going to be no open time or repositionability of it, meaning that if you wanted to apply it and you misapplied it and you try to peel it off, it's not going to happen. Yeah. So it's ultimate adhesion, low surface energies. So what that is, it's great for like this wall, if it's a textured wall, if it's going on wood, anything that's porous, non-smooth surfaces. Rubber base is a good adhesive for. Good availability, water resistant, direct food contact. California. Okay. In California, there's produce. I guess Colorado here in Utah, there's adhesives that can stick directly to food, the skins of food. Go to the grocery store, apples. So rubber base would be more type for that type of application. And it's pretty economical. Now, for what we do in MagTech, I'd say more than 70% of the items that we make is rubber-based. So we make the adhesive, we extrude it, and we apply it to a variety of different substrates. Now, acrylic, which is also a great adhesive, has a broad temperature range. And I'll get into that in a moment. Open time and repositionability. Open time is when you apply the adhesive and it's you want to peel it off, it'll give you that availability. So we call it open time or repositionability. Or you can't do it with rubber base. Die cut and strip, it's easy. It's same with rubber base. Clear in color, good for clear labels, which I'll demonstrate later on. Good long shelf life for archival, scrapbooking type applications. UV resistant, chemical resistant. Clarity and good mandible. Mandible. Medical type applications, test tubes, where it's going around a tight circular circumference. Acrylics are going to be more suitable than rubber-based. Rubber-based under those conditions will tend to lift. Okay, so what I want you to do, so we understand a little bit about, talked a little bit about rubber-based and acrylic. In fact, I'll do this. Okay, so we got rubber-based and acrylic. Major difference in characteristics: high tack, open time. So if we go to this bottle, which is it's a polyester. So what you want to do is peel it off. Peel off the labels. And then when you peel off the labels, you'll be able to identify which is which. Yes,
Are these exactly the same face material, liner,
yes.
everything? It's just
Yeah.
the only thing's different
Is the adhesive, correct. So if you see stringiness like this, that's rubber based.
Because it left some on it.
Yeah, it's ultimate adhesion.
That's rubber. Top's rubber.
Yep. Now with the open time on the acrylic, one of the characteristics of acrylic is after time it will bond up, and it will bond up permanently, and it will bond up more permanent than rubber based. The benefit of rubber based, it's going to stick and stick quick. With acrylics, it'll take a little bit of time. So what you see here is when you're able to peel back the acrylic, it has some open top. Some of your customers may say, hey, you know, I've got an old applicator, it doesn't apply labels well, you know, it's askew, I need an adhesive that it could peel off. Then you want to go with an acrylic. If a customer says, hey, you know, I got a great applicator, I just want speed, I want it fast, I want it to stick, and I'm done. You could go with rubber-based, or you could do acrylic.
And which one's more economical? Is the rubber-based?
Rubber-based would be more.
Is that across the board always?
It will be, yeah. Now, here's one thing about acrylics. Acrylics, there's more variety of acrylics than rubber-based. Rubber-based, there's cold tap, permanent. Used to be a removable, but with acrylics, you're gonna find removables, very high tack, cold temp, permanent, ultra high tack. So you have a lot more variety with acrylics as well. So, in next slide is here.
Is that you static as well?
Static clean?
Static?
Static clean? No adhesive. No.
Okay.
Yeah, strictly static or it's static clean.
There is a low-tack adhesive though, that I would think a low-tack adhesive would be acrylic, wouldn't it?
Yes.
And it's not quite as static. I mean, the static you have to put on a smooth surface, but a low-tack you can put on just about any surface but still remove it.
Okay, so with adhesives, whether it's acrylic or rubber-based, you got general purpose, which is just general purpose. It's going to go on anything in room temperature. Then you got cold temp, and that's going to be applied in cold temp environments. And I'll explain a little bit more of this, but I wanted to kind of explain that there is cold temp adhesives, and then there's permanent adhesives.
In both rubber and acrylic?
For both, you're correct, yeah.
And is that, apply it with room temperature and then move into?
Ah, thank you. Okay, I'm going to get to that. I will get to that. Very good question. Yes. Before I go there, there's high-tack adhesives. Basically, with high-tack adhesives, what you're looking for is hard to affix to substrates. Like this corkboard, that's going to be very difficult to adhere to. I would recommend going with a very heavy coat weight adhesive. Now, you can do rubber-based or acrylic, depending on the application, depending on the temperature range that the labels are being applied at. And then there's specialty adhesives. Durable, there's wash away. And durable would be where it's going to be applied and stuck for the life of the product. Think of your lawnmowers. Think of any equipment that has labels on it. That would be a durable type adhesive, designed for a long-term stick and high temperature range.
This question is on your previous screen, it mentioned water resistance. So for instance, in the acrylic one mentioned wide temperature range. So if you have something going in the freezer, which obviously is going to be subjected to moisture.
Yes.
Which one's the correct one?
Okay, both actually is the answer. Because there's a freezer grade rubber based and a freezer grade acrylic. Okay, so let's throw out a.
And water resistance doesn't mean it's not water soluble. It means just resistant up to a certain point.
It resists water, right? Rubber base will resist water. So if you apply it to, well, let me back up. If something's wet and it's cold, it's going to be very difficult to adhere. Right? So that's where the challenge between the two adhesives come in. Rubber base would be a better fit if it's a cold temp rubber based adhesive to apply to cold, damp, wet environment stick.
Okay.
Now, if it's a freezer grade, if it's going in a freezer, I've witnessed this, where the labels are being applied at -10 degrees, but it's not wet, it's not sweating yet, you could go with acrylic.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I'll get to where water resistant comes into play with acrylics, with the water ball type application. But it's a good question. Thank you for asking. Okay, so we talked about heavy coat weights. So with adhesives, we could bump up the adhesive coat weights. We do have it stocked. Specialty, depending on the application, ultra removable, durable, wash away. And then what I want to go over is, in your catalog, is this. Yeah. All right, so you got the cheat sheet out?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so now I'm going to go back to all right. So this is a cheat sheet with all the different adhesives that we offer. And with this, I call it a cheat sheet because it shows the application temperature and the service range temperature. Two important things I want to emphasize. In this chart, we have rubber-based, we have acrylic, our item number, application minimum temperature range. What this is, and what this is a definition of, is where the adhesive can be applied up to or above that threshold. So if we look at the first item, infusion, it's a rubber base, but it can be applied at 20 degrees. Anything lower, it won't work, it won't adhere. And what I mean, let's say, you go outside, you have bottles that were applied outside, it's 25 degrees, this adhesive would work. If we go outside and it's, let's say it's 10 degrees, well, you want to go to this adhesive, 640AT, which could be applied down to negative 20 degrees. And so what's important about this is that when you have customers that say, hey, I got labels that are being applied in cold, damp environments, that's a real question to ask. More times than not, it's going to be applied in room temperature. It's going to be applied in room temperature, then it's going to go in the freezer. So that brings us into service range. Service range is where just that, once it's applied, the service range of the adhesive is in play. So if we go to here, this adhesive could be applied in room or above 20, and it could go down into a freezer that's negative 65 degrees. So the point about that is that someone says, hey, I need a freezer grade because the products are going into a freezer. Well, wait a second. And what temperature will the labels be applied at? If it's a room temp, you can use any of these adhesives. But if they say, no, it's going to be applied at negative 10 degrees, then you should use this acrylic.
Is there a big difference in the price between the two adhesives?
Not much, no.
The top sheet's gonna be the same no matter what they spec out, or is it?
Right. Yeah. What's not on this list is, okay, so we have a rubber base that's listed here. We have a new rubber base that's not listed on this. That could also go down to negative 10 degrees. So it'll rival the acrylic with a rubber base. Now we go back to the application. Rubber base is high, quick initial tap. It's gonna stick. With acrylics, it's gonna take a little extra time. If it's wet and damp, you go with the rubber base. And then you got the type of applications. You got repositionable, so it goes back. If we look here, this is a rubber based. It's not gonna work. Customer wants to reposition it, apply it, peel it off. So you gotta go to an acrylic. If it's a type mandrel hole, if it's going around a curved surface like this, or if it's a chapstick type application, if you look at this, okay, rubber base, it's gonna be all right, but let's go with the acrylic, which is designed for that. So it goes into the different types of adhesives and applications. So after we talk, there's a whole bunch of questions to ask that'll help define what's the best adhesive for the application. So we got hot fill. Hot fill applies to what's the temperature range we can apply to. So if I go back to service range, max service range falls into hot fill. So if a customer has a hot fill application, it's going in glass, and whatever's being filled is, say, 200 degrees, you don't want to use this adhesive. It just won't stick. You might want to push it over to the acrylic. So the theme here is there's a lot of questions to ask, and we can help you with that for the applications. More times than not, 80% of the time, 20% of the material. meaning that most of the applications. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Can I interject here real quick while we're talking about this? What I've done over the years, I've basically looked about 3 different stocks. So you go in and say, I'm going to use the 710 adhesive, that's a permanent one. So just memorize about 3, get you a removable. There's an XT100 that's very aggressive, and maybe a 710. You learn those 3 and you can go in and sell about anything. The clients that you're dealing with, that covers the range. And you're going to go in looking like you know what you're talking about. They're going to look at you like, well, you got it. I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds good to me. So that's as a salesman, focus on about 3 of them, and then remember that, and that should work for you.
Good point. Absolutely great point, because most adhesives will work in most of the applications that we're going to talk about. It's just a matter of if you want more information. The point that I'm making here is just to talk about the different adhesives. So here we have the different types of substrates that these are being applied to. Rough texture, we go down here for heavy coat weights. That's going to work. It's a great cheat sheet if you're not sure, something to look at before you make a phone call, or make a phone call. We can help you. Everything good? Yeah. All right. All right, direct thermal or thermal transfer. Does anyone know what I'm talking about when I said that? Okay, so this serves a market that's variable image print. Everything that ships out has a direct thermal or thermal transfer label on it. You see barcodes, you see variable image print. It's one of these 2 medias that you use. One requires a ribbon, one doesn't. So there's a lot of confusion sometimes. Hey, I need a direct thermal, but what they really needed was a thermal transfer. So what I wanted to do is just talk quickly on this, because one of your customers, if they make something, they're shipping something out. It's an easy fix. It's an easy opportunity to pick up some of the labels. And what's good for it, usually these are blank labels. The value add that you could bring to it, put a logo on it. That takes it out of the realm of price. What you're doing, you're adding value to it. Because you don't really want to compete in the blank label market. So for direct thermal, basically it's a media that's designed for heat sensitivity. So it's gonna react to heat or it basically activates with heat. Think of the car receipts or the gas receipts that you get in the kiosks. That's direct thermal. Going back to lottery tickets, direct thermal. You don't need an extra media to print it.
All of your jobs, when they ship out, they have a direct thermal label on the box. All of our shipping labels are printed on direct thermal, both companies, both plants.
Yeah. Anybody who makes something that ships them out, it's using one of these 2. But what I wanted to do is hit home with them. One requires a ribbon, the other doesn't. More times than not, it depends on who's selling the media. If they want to sell 2 medias for thermal transfer, because you can use thermal transfer in anything. You can use direct thermal for a select few items.
Okay, the whole ribbon thing, I know what breast cancer awareness pink ribbon looks like. Where do you put it in the pill?
The ribbon, okay, all right. That's a good question.
We haven't done ribbons for 20 years. We're not familiar with that term. Go grab it out of Wendy's.
I don't have a sample, actually.
I think if we use all direct thermal printers here, but, we do have one next door that's a thermal.
Do you mean like old
Thermal
typewriter
transfer.
ribbons?
Yeah, kind of like okay, all right, yes, if we go back a long time.
So like my 10 key has a ribbon that, when I type on my 10 key, the ribbon is actually what puts the ink on there? That's
Yes.
the favorite ribbon.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right. So it's basically taking energy, going through the ribbon transfers onto the media.
Does anybody actually use that anymore?
Oh, yeah,
My
absolutely.
10 key does?
Absolutely.
Frank, you must remember
Other
the
than you.
typewriters.
Okay, I'm sorry. I understand that application, that's a different application to what I understand CPC New Tech does in either plant. So does ribbon apply to us even? Or, because we're all gonna be printing on a substrate that's gonna be removed and put on something else,
Yeah,
right?
no.
No.
This is more for shipping or warehouse type applications.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's more of a low end.
So I can take a nap for a while, because that doesn't apply to me.
No, not at all. Most of these are gonna be, if you have a warehouse that you're working with, and they have a lot of shipments that are going out, so they take their widgets, they put it in a box, and they put a shipping label on it.
Okay.
Every one of those labels are gonna have some type of a transfer label, whether it's a direct label or whether it's the thermal.
Oh, so.
And so you can go in and sell blanks, and that's what a lot of those
Well, that's
labels are, they're
okay.
just blanks. Or if you don't, the upsell on it, instead of just selling the blank,
I
you put a logo on it.
The light just went on.
Okay.
It didn't make any sense before, okay.
Yeah, and there are
Sorry.
billions of those labels that go out
I'm real
all the
slow,
time.
my family comes slow, slow about that.
course.
I understand now.
So if we talk about the markets, more times than not, you're going to get into the direct thermal. It's because it's one media, and it has multiple markets that you can use it for. If you go to a grocery store, you go buy meat, or if you buy bread, that's going to be direct thermal because they print it immediately. You'll see it, key punch in the weight, prints out a label, stick it onto whatever the bread or whatever you're buying. That would be direct thermal. So the purpose of this is what I wanted to at least talk about, because it's going to be in shipping, it's going to be in warehouses. Your customers, if they have a product, they're going to ship it out. Waste scale, medical is also a big market too. In the direct thermal world, there's two types of media. There's top coat and non-top coat. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because it comes down to application and price. But before I go there, are we good between the two, thermal transfer and direct? So direct is direct to the media, thermal transfer, ribbon. All right, so now we go into direct thermal. In the direct thermal world, there's two types of medias. There's top coat and not top coat. If you're quoting on a direct thermal application, it's good to know what you're quoting up against because top coat's going to be about 30% less expensive than top coat. Now, in your on your desks or on tables here is a sample of a top coat, a non-top coat, and then two films. And what I have here are dry erase pens. They're light in color that you can identify what is what. Now, so what I'm doing here is just a trick of the trade. So what I want you to do, just swipe it. So what I want you to do is just swipe it on each sheet.
Is there 4 sheets?
There's 4 sheets. So what you're going to see is there's one sheet that's going to turn black. So whatever color you're swiping it with, there's one sheet that's going to turn black. The one that turns black is non-top coated direct. Now it's a quick test. It's easy to say, hey, okay, you're doing direct thermal. You can easily identify whether it's top coat or not top coat. Did it make sense? Did you guys?
Is it the back we're supposed to do?
No, on the top.
Where it's labeled is the back of the sheet. So the front side of the sheet is the white side.
We're entertaining value. Still not just probably like
You guys follow the directions very well. So you're right on top, but down the lane.
Alright, so work out.
Under all green.
Okay, so this one,
Take the cap off.
Which ones are?
supposed to be a non-toxic. No, that's what you're talking about. Okay. Yes. So there you go. That's it. Yeah, use it like a yellow. Okay, so the purpose of this, I just wanted to at least talk about. All right, so is there any questions?
All right, we're moving on.
Okay. Now there's two other samples in here. So there's two papers. One's top coat, one's non-top coat, and then there's two films. What I wanted to do is just let you know that with direct thermal, there's also films for the marketplace. If it's a poultry type application, you want to go to a direct thermal film. If it's a wet, damp environment, you want to go to a direct thermal film. There's also a hazy clear direct thermal. It's a specialty item, but some of your customers, if they have mailers, they're shipping out or mailers, and it's a direct thermal, you can use the hazy clear direct thermal film as a mailer, addressed mailer.
So
for
if
a
it's chicken
mailer.
or water, we go to the direct thermal top coat.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Chicken? Poultry.
Poultry. But I think what's a little bit more pertinent for your marketplace is the direct thermal. If you go to one of the samples is a hazy clear direct thermal. If you're doing mailers, and this is a great upsell for your customer, it adds maybe a little bit more class to it. You can use direct thermal clear. If it's a colored envelope or if it's a colored mailer, you can use a direct thermal clear film for it. So it's just a different technology for that. All right, so, no, any questions? All right. Okay, so we're going to talk about different paper face stocks. In your catalog or in your folder, I put in samples of different fluorescents, prime white papers, and a catalog too. Now, I don't want to get into all this because this will take days to go through all the catalog, but the important thing I just wanted to talk about, we got prime white papers, so it's going to be semi-glosses. It's going to be a majority of what you would run. Fluorescent in colors if your customers are looking for different colors. Wick-resistant dairy label. It's a big application. It's a certain material that's used. It's a semi-gloss, but it's a dairy label. It wicks water. Wet strength papers. So if you're doing a wine label, it's designed for wet strength. That if you're putting it in an ice bucket, it's not going to shred up. So it's going to stay intact. Archivable papers, scrapbooking type of low liquid content in it. Dissolvable paper, just as it's described. It does dissolve with water. Typically, it's a medical type application where it's put on food trays. After the patient eats, they bring it to the dishwasher and it just washes it off. Again, it goes back to thermal transfer. So thermal transfer would be a ribbon that you would print on. Going back to direct thermal transfer, laser printable. Some of your customers might have laser printers that you have media for that. Inkjet printable, so your customers may have inkjet printers too. So two different top coats regarding that. EDP, that's an old technology, and prescription labels. So there's a wide variety of different face sheets. The catalog pretty much chronicalizes everything that we have for the different markets. So we got the adhesives, we got the face sheets. We just married up what made sense for each of the markets. There should be prime film swatch book. Okay, so in the other substrates, besides paper, are films. Now, films are going to be more expensive than paper substrates. The benefits of using film are numerous. It's a very smooth substrate that you can print on. It gives a very crisp image when you print versus paper. It's durable. It's conformable, depending on the application. And it gives a little bit more better presence, presentation, whatever the customer's going to. So obviously when you go out and quote the applications, it's good to quote semi-gloss, quote them a film. And in this watch book are different types of films. Most commonly, what you guys are going to quote is BOPP, polypropylene, biaxylated polypropylene. It's like the semi-gloss of the market. By the way, semi-gloss is very commonly used. 80% of the applications that require a label would use semi-gloss or BOPP. So polypropylene comes in a clear and a white. Samples are in the swatch book. Polyolefin. Polyolefin is a conformable film. If you think about containers where you could squeeze it, wall-to-wall squeeze hair gel, which 30 years ago, maybe 40 years ago I used, but where you squeeze it, the film will conform with the container.
It'll be like a toothpaste.
Toothpaste would be a great application. Yep. So if you use the BOPP in that type of application, it's going to crinkle. It's going to crinkle. Then you got vinyl, which is going to be more expensive. It's going to be conformable. You can use it for wall-to-wall squeeze tube applications, but it's not used for it. Vinyl, good for outdoor applications. A little bit more expensive than polyolefin. And then you go to polyesters. Polyesters is a rigid film, more of a durable film, designed for outdoor, long-use applications. And then polystyrene, this is kind of like an obsolete film, but it's still being used. If a customer wants a film that'll perform like a paper where they can rip it, this would be a good substrate because it's brittle. An application for that would be where it would be a security label if it's going around the edge of the box.
So make sure it was a way.
So getting back to that.
Wait, you didn't say you couldn't read, did you? Go ahead.
Getting back to that,
Yeah.
actually, I might have an application for that where someone wants a security break, you want to make sure that it's fresh or it's.
Yep.
So that would be.
This would be, yes, there's another film that's called acetate. Acetate really will break easy. This is a step up from it, it's less cost.
When it breaks, will it? Okay, so it'll be kind of a cleaner break, because that's the issue right now. Whatever they're using now, they don't want it to look so sloppy, but they still want it to look, you have a security label. So this, you could score it, and then it would break cleaner.
Yeah. This almost runs like a paper.
Polystyrene.
Why would you use paper?
The paper
It runs if you want to open up the container.
It's going to be a little bit more
Tell if
durable
it's
than
been
paper.
opened or not.
Oh, okay.
Well, can you put the polystyrene in a wet environment?
Yes, because it's a
And in
film.
paper you can't.
No. So the swatch book has the samples of each. It's something you can show your customers. You can cut out. I can get you more samples for those. And the metallized papers. All right. So it is. Yes, sir.
So, is any of the adhesives available on any of the face So, I mean, we can mix them, I mean, obviously we gotta figure out what you guys are building, but
Yeah. Yeah, so
there's not something you're like, oh, well, you can't put an XD 75 with a pop double sideline, you know?
Yeah, no, I get it, I get it. For most of the films and the papers, we have common adhesives that are used for most of the applications in the marketplace, whether it's rubber-based or acrylic, or rubber, or removables, or high-tech. So, to answer the question, yeah, the catalog illustrates what's married up with. Can we do a custom run? We can't do custom runs. Typically, they're going to be long runs. But what I would do before we do a custom run is kind of find another material. If it's an adhesive issue, maybe go to a different film.
On the polystyrene, on your last slide, it said, so it had an application coupon, what is that?
Okay, so, yeah, so coupon based. So if you go to a store and they have a coupon that's listed on a product, and if the cashier register sees it, pulls it off, scans it, that would be polystyrene because it's brittle, it would peel off.
So, is that like a sandwich, like an instant redeemable coupon kind of?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's funny. Years ago, I saw a lot of applications with this. Today, there's a coupon base that's already manufactured with both layers. It depends on the skill level of the press operator and how they can do it. You can do it with polystyrene and marry it up yourself, or you can buy the coupon base already for coupon base. All right. Okay, so in your folder are samples of foils. Yes, sir.
Hey, just a couple of things, just to make it real simple for you guys. I learned DOPP, that's something you're gonna wanna learn. And then you're gonna wanna learn vinyl, and just in your head, just think, okay, vinyl's outdoors. DOPP can cover a wide variety of applications. So those two things you're gonna wanna learn. So I just wanted to point that out. The other things, you're gonna find they're gonna come and go, the DOPP and then vinyl. And then when you get a label sample, what I try to do is tear it right off the bat. If it rips, I know I got paper. If it doesn't rip, or it could be paper with laminate, but if it doesn't rip, I'm looking at a bob, I'm looking at some type of film. So then I've got something else to look at. So there's just some real basic things you use out in the field, and you'll look like an expert on that.
So say that if it rips,
Okay, if it rips, then you know it's a paper.
Okay.
If it doesn't rip, then you could have a laminate on top, but usually the paper will separate from the laminate, you'll know right what it is, or it's going to be a bob. And bob usually has a pearlescent look to it. So those are just a few things that you'll look like you know what you're doing.
so not the foil itself, but actually the label.
Randy, Bob, really good for outdoors.
It can be used outdoors, but I like vinyl for outdoors, and even mentioned that. Vinyl is typically what you try to steer to if you're going out.
I'd say that's fine. It's got a little bit of flexibility to it. Excuse me. It feels like it has an overlay. It needs to be coated. It's got thickness to it. Yeah, the adhesive is because it opens.
Your varnishes and your UVs,
If you use rubber, they're pretty easy.
yeah, especially outdoors. And it does it in line.
Oh.
So, and it's not that expensive.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about metallized papers, because this is an upsell. You know, if a customer has semi-gloss or they have using white BOP, if they want to add a little more sizzle to the labels, you could go with the metallized substrate. Now, there's really 3 different metallized substrates that you can use. I put 4, but the 4th one is designed for a certain market. In your catalog or in your folders are samples of each, and I want to talk a little bit about each. The metallized paper is a lower cost, widely used. It's a thinner gauge metallized paper. It's got more of a mirror finish to it. If you look on the back, you'll see bright metallized paper listed on it. And what I wanted to emphasize is the caliber thickness on this and the mirror appearance of this. Next you have laminated foil, which would be this. It's got more of an aluminum look to it, not as brilliant as metallized paper. It is a little bit thicker, but the difference between the two is the print surface. The print surface on the metallized foil is a smoother print surface than a metallized paper. So if you look up real close, you could probably see a little bit of the topography of the metallized paper. Mostly in the marketplace, you're going to go with metallized paper. Cost and availability really drive it. If it's going around a curved surface, if it's going around a container like this, you probably want to stick with a metallized paper. Now, if we throw in the combination of metallized paper with brilliance, with thinness, then you've got metallized bond.